Chapter 5. Everything is about to change for all of us. One day, the two of them were alone in the house, and suddenly, out of nowhere, it happened. I don't remember exactly what started it. What I do remember is the terrible fight that followed, one that forced Marina to leave, slamming the door behind her. I had tried to calm things down, but it was pointless. The two of them had turned into beasts, tearing into each other without restraint.
"I can't control her anymore," my mother screamed. "Please, just be patient," I begged. "The house will be finished soon." "My life will be over with her," she growled. In the end, for as long as we were living together, we all had to watch our behavior. But I also learned that in my absence, whenever the two of them happened to be alone, they would exchange lethal fire. At night, as we lay down to sleep, I would hear my wife's complaints. In the morning, once she had left, Nina's constant criticism would take over. In my eyes, everything Marina did was wrong. At least, that's what I believed.
On the other hand, my wife wouldn't tolerate even the slightest remark. "I had told you all this because I could see it coming. Yes, but I never imagined things would get this bad." And so an unbelievable war had begun between them, with me stuck in the middle playing the referee. I could already see the disaster coming, ante portas, and it was coming soon. My personal moments with Marina were limited to our nights together. Unfortunately, both of our jobs were demanding when it came to schedules. Still, we fought for it, as much as we could, holding on to a happiness we believed we deserved.
We had started our life under the best possible signs. And now, almost in despair, I could see everything that had been set in motion drifting dangerously off course. Something had to happen. Something good, maybe. Something that would make the two women in my life focus their attention elsewhere. But that something never came. On some days off, I would take Marina and we would leave, just to change scenery, short trips nearby, sometimes with friends, other times just the two of us.
Fortunately, Nina didn't object. And yet, even then, instead of showing satisfaction, Marina would complain. "Live the moment and forget everything else," I used to tell her. "Do things like that even happen, Pavlos? Why can't you ever relax? You're always on edge." I was hoping in vain. Despite everything, I felt deeply in love with my wife, ignoring the absurd theater we were living through, caused by a misguided impulse that would end up shaping the rest of our lives.
One day, Marina and I had a fierce argument. In the end, I told her, we brought this upon ourselves. Everything we're going through, we created it with our own hands. "I never imagined I'd live in such hell," she replied. "You have no idea, do you? Now I finally understand how weak you really are. You're like a ping-pong ball, tossed around with no control. You don't have the courage to put things in their place. You keep making mistake after mistake, with me and with your mother. You need to accept everything I'm telling you." If I had put her in her place the way I should have, Nina would have found out, and the argument would have escalated with unpredictable consequences for everyone. I said nothing. In the end, the only one in the wrong was me. Time passed relentlessly. The house was far from being finished, and instead, my relationship with Marina seemed to be falling apart. Her absence was overwhelming, both from the house and from our marriage. Day by day, I was waiting for the explosion, without doing absolutely anything to save whatever could still be saved. Just like back in high school when I would lock myself in my room, unable to stand the sound of my mother's voice.
On the other hand, what troubled me was my father's patience, his tolerance, his unbelievable calmness. Since then, I had become restless, uncertain about my own thoughts. Maybe that was when I started needing psychological support.
Minnie lifted her head from the laptop. "Are you tired?" "No, I'm just speechless." "You haven't heard anything yet, but that's enough for today. I'm getting a little anxious. Do you still admire me?" "Of course." I was certain she didn't want to disappoint me. I was impressed by the way she treated me, by her patience. Didn't she have anything better to do? Friends her age, going out, having fun? Instead, she was spending her free time in the room of, let's say, a former psychiatric patient. Of course, she wasn't doing it for the money. Maybe that's how it started at first, but later I began to doubt. The female soul is an abyss. I could never truly understand it, grasp it, even though I always approached it with the best intentions.
Eris had told me about her good character, but what I was seeing felt too good to be true. Maybe, for once, I had been lucky. Minnie came again the next morning. "Didn't you go to work?" I asked her. "I took the day off. In a few days we need to be done, and we're running out of time. You're leaving."
She had taken it almost personally. I smiled. "I like the way you tell me what to do. At night, when I go home, I think about everything I've written. It feels like a novel." She's right, I thought. And we're still only at the beginning. Shall we continue? Let's continue. I will never forget that afternoon. I had just returned from work. Nina was out, having lunch with her friends. A note stuck on the fridge informed me there was food ready to be heated in the oven. I relaxed. I would enjoy my solitude. I ate, cleared my plate, and lay down. Then I heard keys at the door. Which one of the two could it be? Marina came straight into our bedroom, taking off her shoes. She looked exhausted. "I'm going to take a shower and I'll be right back. Don't fall asleep. I need to tell you something important." She's going to ask me for a divorce, I thought, with a hint of humor. The thought came so easily, it even surprised me. I waited for her to finish her shower, calmly reading my newspaper. She walked back into the room wrapped in her white bathrobe, more rested, more relaxed. At first, she said nothing. I watched her from behind the newspaper. She put on her creams, her perfumes, took off her robe, and slipped into our bed, fresh and desirable. "I'm pregnant," she dropped the bomb. Just like that, no warning. I don't know how I felt in that moment. I couldn't believe my ears. That's how shocked I was. Within seconds, I became the happiest man in the world. I almost jumped up and pulled her into my arms. "My love, what an unexpected happiness! This child is coming at a very inappropriate time, but I'm already old enough, so I'm keeping it." She made a small gesture with her hand, trying to push me away. I was left speechless. The most beautiful thing that had ever happened in my life was suddenly being treated like a problem. I ignored her comment and embraced her again with all the tenderness I had inside me. I kissed her passionately. This time, she didn't react. I placed my hand on her belly. There was nothing yet to reveal that a life was growing inside her. A life that would change everything. God had found a solution to our problems. At least, that's what I believed. That afternoon, we made love. The most beautiful, the most passionate since the day I met her. She surrendered. I felt it clearly. The idea of motherhood had already begun to change her. Day by day, Marina was becoming calmer, softer. Pregnancy had sweetened both her appearance and her soul. Those 9 months were the most beautiful period of my life.
Even Nina had softened, so the child we were expecting was the solution to everything. I was floating in an ocean of happiness. Our baby was coming. The house in Marusi was almost ready. What more could I ask for?
When we found out the baby would be a girl, my wife made it clear. Of course she won't take your mother's name. Of course, what could be more natural than that? Once again, I didn't argue. To be honest, I didn't really care that much. But even if I had, I still wouldn't have gone against Marina, whatever she wanted.
I heard her whisper quietly, "Two Ninas in the same family. That would be too much." She might have been right. We'll name her Artemis. I like that name. She was the goddess of the hunt. My daughter will become a huntress. She will hunt happiness. Marina had spoken.
The fortune lady told my mama before I saw the sun.
Sometimes in life,
Said your boy's gonna love too hard and break more than one.
we stay silent.
He gonna make sweet women laugh and cry.
Not because we agree,
In a whole wild
but because we don't yet know where our voice should begin.
but you know
There comes a moment
everybody knows.
when listening is no longer enough.
Yeah, you know I'm a midnight.
In every relationship,
Everybody knows I'm torn.
there is a line between understanding and losing yourself.
Had charm and a heart turned blue. Got a letter from my baby saying I'm done with you.